Hi everyone, today we will be starting with another chapter, that is conservation of plants and animals. Alright, so what does the name conservation means? Conservation means to safeguard, alright, to conserve. Okay, we conserve plants and animals so that we can derive most from them and they live in a good environment, in a safeguarded environment, so that the human progress does not harm what is natural. All right, we derive a lot of things from nature. We derive wood, we derive a lot of things, and in turn we don't want plants and animals to get disturbed, to get lost, to get a loss of habitat. All right, to lose their natural habitat, so that they do not get food, they do not get shelter, and they die out. We do not want that. Thus we proceed in such a way that the existence of plants and animals is conserved. Now how do we go about it? Let's start. Conservation of plants and animals is crucial for maintaining the balance of ecosystems and preserving biodiversity. So what this sentence means is, we want a balance between us and the nature. We are making cities, we are making a lot of things. Now we want a balance between us and nature. Okay, we want a balance between us and their ecosystems. Alright, we don't want one population of animals to grow so large and one population of animals to come down to a bare minimum. Alright, we do not want that. So conservation is maintaining that balance of ecosystems and preserving biodiversity. Now what does preserving biodiversity mean? So we preserve the nature, we preserve the plants and the animals. Alright, how they exist in this nature, we try to preserve it. We do not want them to go extinct. It involves the sustainable use and protection of natural resources. So we want to use the natural resources in such a way that even our coming generations are able to use it. We do not want to overuse, so that our generations, our children, their children, and the further coming human race can not use that. Alright, so we move in such a way that the resources, the natural resources, are sustained and the biodiversity is preserved. Okay, to ensure the survival of various species and their habitats. Alright, so there are various species that we want to conserve. We do not want them to die out, to be wiped from the face of the earth. We do not want that. Thus comes the play of conservation. Conservation efforts are aimed at preventing the extinction of species. Okay, so what are we aiming on? We do not want a certain animal to go extinct. What does extinct means? That we wipe all of its population off. Alright, all of that animal dies. All the animals of that particular species die out. For example, consider tiger. Alright, what would happen if tomorrow there are no tigers in this world? Alright, there are no tigers. So what would happen? They have become extinct. Right, extinct. We want restoring ecosystems. Alright, conservation aims at restoring in ecosystems. So for example, if some ecosystem has been destroyed by due to many things, by making a lot of human houses, making cities, for example, consider a city like New York or New Delhi. Okay, there was a time when it was all jungle. Alright, long back ago, it was just jungle, and now there are houses, human settlements, so they disrupted all that jungle. Alright, all those ecosystems. What we want is we restore that ecosystem somewhere else. Okay, and promoting sustainable practice. Conservation refers to the careful management and protection of natural resources. So what are we doing? We are being very careful as to not overuse those natural resources. Okay, and we protect those natural resources from going out of use. Okay, from going out of supply. We do not want something that is coming naturally to us to go out of practice, to go out of supply. Alright, for example, I don't want that in the near future that wood does not exist. Alright, I cannot have furniture, I cannot have a lot of things. So I will move in a fashion of careful use, so that there is some growth of wood as well, and I can use some sustainable amount as well. Okay, to ensure the sustainable use for future generations. I want my future generation to use that resource as well. It involves preservation, restoration, and sustainable utilization of plants, animals, and their habitats. Forest. So forest is an ecosystem. A lot of animals, a lot of birds, a lot of insects, a lot of microorganisms lives in the forest. Forests play a vital role in the conservation of plants and animals. So forests are very, very important. Okay, forests play a vital role in the conservation of plants and animals. They provide shelter, they provide food, they provide protection to numerous species. So like forest is the home of a lot of species. Okay, it is giving them shelter, it is giving them a home, it is giving them food. Alright, it is giving them protection from a lot of things, otherwise they might go extinct. So forest plays a very crucial role, and we want our forest covers to be not getting decreasing. Alright, so what we want is, we do not want our forest cover decreasing. We do not want that rapid urbanization, making houses, making machines and all these things reduce the forest cover. Why? Because we also get a lot of resources from forest. Forests also contribute to the maintenance of water cycle, soil conservation and climate regulation. So forest is contributing to the water cycle. We know what is the water cycle, how water evaporates, all right, and it condenses in the sky and it comes down as rain. Okay, that is a water cycle. How do forests play a very crucial role in water cycle? All right, all that transpiration that happens through these trees, the leaves of the plants, all right, a lot of evaporation happens in forests. Okay, that is how we get rain, we get wind, all right, we get clean air. Soil conservation, the roots of these trees, it is binding the soil, it is binding the mud, the ground. Alright, if these trees are not there, that soil will just wash off in rains. Alright, it will be a loss of land. Climate regulation. Forests play a very crucial role in climate regulation. For example, if there were no forests, there would be a lot of drought. Alright, there may be floods, there may be soil erosion, a lot of things, landslides. So climate regulation is done by forest. A lot of forest climate regulation is done by forest. Now we come to a crucial part of forest conservation, that is deforestation and conservation. What is deforestation? Deforestation is the widespread clearing of forests. So I cut trees in a very large scale. Alright, you can see over here a large number of trees are being cut. Why? To get wood, to get fuel and all those things. So primarily due to human activities such as logging. Logging means cutting wood, cutting the trees. Agriculture, urbanization, we need houses to live. Alright, we need to clear land for houses to live. Due to a increasing population, urbanization, we need more cities, we need for agriculture purposes. This is a very fertile soil. I want to grow crops over here so that humans can have food. I want furniture, I want a lot of things from forest. Now cutting trees on a large scale is called deforestation. It has several negative consequences. Okay, so it has a very negative impact on the environment. Loss of habitat. Loss of habitat for who? For the species, for the animals. Deforestation leads to the destruction of habitats for various plant and animal species. Okay, for various number of plants and animal species, there is a loss of habitat. Whatever birds were living in those trees, whatever insects were living, whatever animals were under those trees, they were living in that forest, they have now become homeless. Okay, so that is a loss of habitat, resulting in their displacement and extinction. If I take away someone's home, where will they live? They will die out. Alright, and they will move from there. Okay, so I have disrupted an ecosystem, I have disrupted their habitat. Now this loss of habitat is due to deforestation. Okay, soil erosion. Removal of trees destabilizes the soil. Like I told you, that those roots are holding the ground together, holding the soil, the mud, the soil together. If there are no trees, they have been cleared out, they have been uprooted, what would happen? That soil will lose its binding and it will become loose, which can lead to soil erosion, okay, and loss of fertility. So whatever fertility was in that soil, that trees were growing, that crops were growing, that plants were growing, has now vanished. And soil erosion, what is erosion? Eroding, okay, it is being washed off by rains, by wind. Soil is being washed off, that is called soil erosion. Climate change, what is climate change? Trees play a crucial role in absorbing the carbon dioxide. Okay, photosynthesis, we all know plants absorb carbon dioxide. Now if there are no trees, there will be an abundance of carbon dioxide in the air, and we do not take in carbon dioxide, we give out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is not good for humans, like it is a toxic gas if it is in abundance. So greenhouse gas responsible for global warming. If there are no trees, that carbon dioxide will not be absorbed by the plants, okay, the trees, the forest. If they do not exist, that carbon dioxide will not be absorbed to produce more oxygen. If this happens, this will lead to global warming. Okay, global warming, the increase in temperature of the earth, right? Increase in temperature of the earth. Deforestation increases the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. Alright, it has increased a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. A lot of carbon dioxide. This will lead to warming of the earth's surface. It will be trapped in the atmosphere, and it will increase the temperature of the earth, which will lead to very adverse climatic conditions. There will be more floods, there will be more droughts, there will be a lot of extreme weather events. That is climate change. It is changing right now. Thus, we do not want to cut trees, okay, so that carbon dioxide is being absorbed and the temperature of the earth is not increasing. Disruption of water cycle. Forests contribute to the regulation of water cycle by absorbing and releasing water. So how do forests help in water cycle? Like I told you, they release water through transpiration into the atmosphere. They keep the environment cool so that species can function, and they absorb rain as well. Okay, that leads to more groundwater. Okay, under that soil there is some groundwater and it is being absorbed by the trees. So it is an important part of the water cycle. Deforestation disrupts this cycle. Disrupts mean it will stop this cycle. It will provide a barrier to this cycle, leading to altered rainfall patterns and water scarcity. So what happens is, if rainfall is not proper, okay, it will be a lot over some place and very less over some place. So we do not want that. We want rainfall like it used to happen, okay, the way that it always used to happen. Like we don't want some state to having a lot of rainfall, some state having very less rainfall, which will result in droughts and floods. Okay, that is not good for us humans. And water scarcity. If I do not have a water cycle, that place will result dry. Okay, it will be drought, and people will not be able to grow food. They will not be able to have water for basic purposes, and thus it disrupted the water cycle. So thus we need more forests. Okay. Reforestation. Now what is the solution to deforestation? How do I go about it? I will plant more trees, okay, so that I do not lose forest. I need wood, but I'll take wood, but I will plant more plants and trees in place of it. Reforestation is the process of replanting trees in areas where forests have been cleared or degraded. So for example, see over here, humans clear a patch of forest. All right, we need wood, we need a lot of things, okay, we clear that patch of forest, but we do not keep it cleared. After we have got our resources, we replant those trees. All right, we plant more trees in place of that, so that we do not lose the forest cover and we can have natural resources again. It helps to restore ecosystems, combat climate change, and conserve biodiversity. The animals that left or had their habitat disrupted can come back. The ecosystem is restored. the climatic conditions will not be affected because I have replanted trees. Reforestation initiative involve planting native tree species and promoting sustainable forestry practices. So for example, if in Himachal Pradesh I clear a lot of land of forest, now those type of trees are not grown anywhere else. So I will aim at replanting the trees which only grow there. Okay, the same species of trees. Okay, we have seen that in hilly areas they are conical in nature. Alright, they are conical in nature, right? They are like this. These type of trees, I will replant only these type of trees because they will only grow there. I have reforested that area. Okay, so that the native species that live there, the native animals and birds can have their home over there. I am not disrupting the climatic conditions, the natural instinct of that place, alright, which was aiding in a proper cycle, in a proper ecosystem. I will plant the same trees, the same native. What does native means? That is natural to that place, that is from that place, native trees. Okay. Conservation of forest and wildlife. Now, how can I conserve forest and the wildlife present in there apart from reforestation? Okay, so what can we do is conservation of forest and wildlife involves the protection and sustainable management of forest ecosystems to preserve biodiversity. So I will protect that forest and wildlife. I will use sustainable ways, sustainable management, like I told you, so that my future generation can also have that, to preserve biodiversity. I am preserving what was before for what will be. Okay, so it includes measures like protected areas, establishing national parks. We all know national parks, Jim Corbett and all, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves. These are all places that have been reserved where we will not cut trees, we will not disrupt that ecosystem. It is preserved, it is kept as it is, and we as humans are responsible for keeping them functioning to safeguard the natural habitats and restrict human activities. We do not want hunting to happen there, we do not want wood cutting to happen there, we do not want any sort of disruption in those ecosystems. Thus we make a protected area. See over here, protected natural area. We mark certain areas of land as protected so that whatever animals are living there, whatever plants are there, whatever birds are there, are kept as it is. We do not harm them. This is called protected areas, protected from human touch. Okay. Sustainable forestry, adopting practices that promote responsible logging such as selective cutting and reforestation. So I will use sustainable methods. What could be sustainable methods? I promote responsible logging. Okay, I do not cut a lot of trees altogether. I cut them in that fashion that they will regrow. Okay, I practice selective cutting. I will only cut selective trees which have grown a lot in size or which I know will regrow very fast. So selective cutting. And reforestation, planting more trees in place of the trees that I cut. Community participation. What is community participation? Involving local communities in conservation efforts through awareness programs, ecotourism and sustainable livelihood options. So I will try to engage the natives of that place, the community that lives there, the community of humans that are already living there, to come for conservation of those forests. So I will increase awareness. For example, if there is a village near a forest area, they are dependent on cutting the wood, on hunting animals to get their food and all. What I will do is we will try to make them aware that their active hunting can decrease the population of the animals over there. They can decrease the forest cover. I will try to have more awareness. Ecotourism. Now, tourists want to go to places like we visit Jim Corbett and all. Okay, for North Indians, like that is a tourist destination. Okay, ecotourism. We go to see the natural protected areas. Alright, so that we are aware of that, we can make other people aware of them as well. So that is ecotourism. sustainable livelihood options. So I can give them, the villagers, some other livelihood options, like besides from hunting, I can tell them to rearing cattle, all right, cows, buffaloes and all. I can give them another livelihood example. I can tell them to practice something else, to practice farming and all. So that is sustainable livelihood option. Wildlife conservation. Now what is wildlife? Wildlife is the natural birds, animals, insects and all those living organisms that are living in the forest. So implementing measures to protect endangered species. What are endangered species? That have a threat to them. Okay, like when I call a species endangered, means I should do something about the decreasing population, otherwise they become extinct. Okay, endangered means they are not that much in number, but if I use some protective measures, they can increase in number and not become endangered, such as anti-poaching activities. For example, elephant. Okay, elephants were hunted for their tusks, all right, those teeth, the ivory, okay, those white teeth, they were being hunted for that. Captive breeding programs and habitat restoration. I will restore their habitat, what was before. Okay, captive breeding programs. So what is captive breeding? I know that cobra snake lives in the forest, okay, in the jungle, but I know that they are being hunted. For example, just for an example, they are being hunted. What I will do is, so that the population does not decrease further, I will captive breed them. I will make an artificial environment made by us humans where I can raise those snakes or any animal for that sort and re-release them back into the wildlife. Okay, this is done for chimpanzees, all right, for some other monkeys and all. This has been done. We raise them in our own created environments and then we release them back to the forest. Now, a wildlife sanctuary. What is a wildlife sanctuary? A wildlife sanctuary is a protected area designated for the conversion and preservation of wildlife and their habitats. Okay, designated for the conservation and preservation of wildlife and their habitats. So see over here, this is an example of a wildlife sanctuary. Okay, these areas have been protected, okay, by wires and all. These have been protected so that we do not have any human touch to them, we do not have any poaching, we do not have any hunting. This is a designated area for conservation and preservation of wildlife. So I know that tigers are found in this habitat. I will make it a wildlife sanctuary, I will make it a protected area so that no humans can come inside this for hunting, for killing, for making hotels and all, for deforestation. I have made a wildlife sanctuary so that this population of tigers is conserved. It provides a safe haven for various species and restricts human activities that may disturb or harm them. So all those activities that humans do that harm the animals, like hunting, okay, like taking their natural habitat, cutting trees, okay, taking away their food. If I take away the food that you eat, you will die out. All right, so for example, if I know that tigers hunt goats, if I take away goats from that area, tigers will not be able to survive. So this is why we make a wildlife sanctuary, so that there are no humans to hurt them. Wildlife sanctuaries play a crucial role in maintaining biodiversity and protecting endangered species. So if, like, tiger is an endangered species, they are not much in number, all right, I will want to create a wildlife sanctuary which will play a major role, a very important role in maintaining biodiversity. The various types of plants and animals that are living in that area, they will be as it is, and protecting this endangered species. I am protecting this animal from becoming extinct. Now we come to recycling of paper. Paper is something that we obtain from the forest. We obtain a lot of things from forest, alright. So we obtain wood, we obtain honey, we obtain gum, we obtain paper, we obtain a lot and lot of things from forest. Now paper is made from forest, it's made from trees. What do? If I utilize a lot and lot of paper, that means more and more trees are being cut. Now we recycle that paper, we use the same paper, okay, after going through a certain process, so that same paper can be used and we do not need to cut any more trees. So recycling paper is an essential practice to conserve natural resources and reduce environmental impact. Recycling paper will help me conserve the natural resources. How? It will help me conserve trees. Trees give a lot of natural resources, so it is in turn helping me conserve natural resources and reduce the environmental impact. Alright, there is an environmental impact that will be reduced. The process involves collecting used paper, breaking it down into fibers and reusing it to produce new paper products. So when there is a kabadi wala or a recycler that comes to your house, he takes away all those newspapers or those used papers. What do you think? Where does it go? Some might go for reselling some books, but others, that is waste paper, will be reused. It will be broken down into pieces, into fibers, and it will be reused to produce new paper products. So I can use that reused paper for making cups, for making for making bags, paper bags. I can use it for making sketchbooks. You can use it for making cardboard. All right. So that is all recycled. Save trees. Recycling helps to save trees. By recycling paper, the demand for fresh pulp from trees is reduced and conserving forests. So it is made from trees, from the pulp obtained from trees. Okay, if we want to reduce that, okay, to lower it down, we recycle paper. Okay, I do not want more and more trees to be cut to have a harmful impact on the environment. So I recycle the paper. Reduce energy consumption. Recycling paper requires less energy compared to producing more paper from raw materials. So for example, I own an agency of cutting paper. I will have a lot of man hours for cutting that tree, a lot of electricity, a lot of machinery, a lot of transport, a lot of energy and money is being used to make more paper. And for recycling paper, I only require a few machines. Okay, now that is relatively cheaper than making new paper. Alright, thus it reduces energy consumption. Minimize pollution. Now recycling reduces the release of pollutants and greenhouse gases associated with paper production. Alright, so recycling reduces the release of pollutants. What are the pollutants? Like all those things that harm the atmosphere, SO2, NO2, all those oxides, gases. We burn paper. If there is a lot of paper, there is a lot of pollution happening on the land as well, okay, and in water as well. So what do? We reduce that pollution, we minimize pollution by recycling paper. I will take that waste paper, I will make new products from it. And greenhouse gases associated with paper production. So a lot of harmful pollutants and greenhouse gases are being produced when we make paper. Okay, now if we want to reduce that, we recycle the paper. Okay, thus recycling helps in minimizing pollution. A national park. Now we go into the detail of what a national park is. A national park is also a protected area managed for conservation of nature and preservation of biodiversity. Again, it has a similar concept. It is aimed at conservation of nature. Alright, all the natural things in that area. National parks aim to maintain the ecological balance, the ecosystem, okay, the interaction between the plants and animals there and the humans. So we aim to maintain it, protect wildlife, of course, protecting the animals, the birds, the insects and the various microorganisms and their habitats, the habitat that they are living in. So a rhino is living in this habitat, an elephant might be living in a different habitat, and a lion will be living in their own habitat. So I want national parks made so that they live in their own habitat and it is not disrupted. It provides opportunities for research, education and recreation. So see over here, what national parks help us is with collecting sap, collecting honey. Alright, these are some things that will be regrown. Okay, they give us an opportunity to derive without harming the trees. We can use it for research for students who want to study about how animals live. Okay, how various birds live, how we can use it to get more and more knowledge. All right, so all these. Okay, so these national parks have a very important role to play in our environment, in forest conservation. Okay, they give us more opportunities for education, they give us more opportunity for recreation, so that I can regrow those trees, I can have more and more animals being going back to their habitats which were lost earlier. Okay, I can give more and more animals in this national park. Okay, recreation purposes, education, research, these are all important for applications of national parks. They have stricter regulations compared to wildlife sanctuaries. So wildlife sanctuaries, they can still have safaris and all, but in a national park they will have a lot of regulations. All right, you cannot touch this, you cannot see this, you cannot go, because it is a free living environment of animals. All right, so we do not have much protection from them if we go into this. Thus it has stricter regulations. Project Tiger. Now Project Tiger is something, like the name suggests, an initiative aimed at conserving tigers, because tigers are an endangered species. So we want to conserve them. We want them to grow in number. Why? Because we do not want them to go extinct. They are a beautiful creature and we do not want them to go extinct, so that our coming generations can't see them. All right, we want them. So Project Tiger is a conservation initiative in India aimed at protecting the endangered Bengal tiger, Royal Bengal tiger, and its habitat. Okay, so the Royal Bengal tiger is a very big animal. All right, it is a ferocious predator and it is a very beautiful creature, and we want it to not lose its habitat. All right, we do not want it to lose a habitat. We want tigers to live in their natural habitat, in their protected areas, and grow in number, because they have come to very less population. Okay, so Project Tiger was aimed at this. It was launched in 1973. It was launched way back to address the alarming decline of tiger population. At that point, at that time, tigers were being hunted a lot. Their claws, their skin was being sold. Okay, so due to this hunting and habitat loss, they were falling in number. To address this, the government started the initiative of Project Tiger in 1973. Remember this year, in 1973, to increase that level, to stop the hunting. The project focuses on conservation and management of tiger reserves. We make tiger reserves, anti-poaching efforts. Poaching means hunting, so anti-hunting, habitat restorations, and community participation. We make the villages, the tribal people, the indigenous people aware of how the tiger is declining, and we ask for their help to contribute to stop this hunting and falling population of tigers. So over these years it has worked and it has increased the population of tigers. What are species? Now we define species. Species refers to a group of organisms with similar characteristics that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. So humans are a species. Okay, a species is a group of organisms, okay, a group of creatures that they have the similar characteristics. Okay, they look similar, they act similar, they have similar characteristics, similar sense of hearing, similar food, similar way of living. Okay, so tigers are a species, some sort of birds have a species, they have similar characteristics, they look the same. So peacock is a species, cobra snake is a species, alright. They can interbreed, means they can produce more of themselves, alright, within each other, and produce fertile offspring. Fertile offspring means having children, having cubs, having birds, alright. So having offsprings that are fertile, that can in future produce more offspring, so that the lifeline of these animals stays moving. Okay, so fertile offspring. Conservation efforts are particularly important for two categories of species. Okay, for two categories: endemic, endangered. So conservation, what we are studying about, is important for two categories of species. Now the species have been categorized based on their population, based on the dangers to them. So first is the endemic species. Endemic species are native to a specific geographical region. What is a special geographical region? Means, for example, coastal areas, for example, deserts, for example, cities, for example, hilly areas. These are geographical regions where some species might only be found in these places. Okay, so for example, if I have a snow leopard, it will only be found in the snow in the Himalayas. I cannot have it in Rajasthan, right? So that is a species native to a particular geographical condition. Okay, thus we call them endemic and are found nowhere else in the world. So I will not find a snow leopard near the sea. All right, so that is why these are called endemic species. Due to their restricted distribution, they are more vulnerable to habitat loss and other threats. Since they are found in only one place, okay, they are more vulnerable. Vulnerable means there are more chances of them becoming less in number if that habitat is losing, if we are harming that geographical region. For example, if a lot of snow is melting, then there is not much place for that snow leopard to travel, okay, to get food from. Okay, this will harm that species, the endemic species. Thus they are more vulnerable to habitat loss and other threats. Conservation measures are crucial to prevent their extinction and preserve their unique genetic diversity. Now, conservation of these species, the endemic species that are found in only one particular geographical region, is very important, because if they go extinct, we will never see them again. Okay, we preserve their unique genetic diversity. Now those animals or creatures or those species are unique. Unique means one of a kind. All right, they will not be able to be obtained anywhere else. They cannot be recreated. Thus it is important to safeguard them. Endangered species. Now endangered species are those facing a higher risk of extinction in the wild. They have reduced to such small numbers, they have faced so many problems that they are very few in number and are likely to become extinct. Means all of the population dies out. Okay, they are threatened by factors such as habitat destruction. Okay, for example, if you might have heard of the dodo bird. Dodo bird was found in Mauritius and it went extinct. Alright, there are no more dodo birds left on this planet. So habitat destruction, poaching means hunting, loss of habitat, pollution, a lot of pollution, and climate change. Alright, these factors have resulted in a few species becoming endangered, means coming down to a level of extinction. Conservation efforts for endangered species include habitat protection. Okay, so what conservation efforts will I try? I will try to include habitat protection, so that that area that they are found in is protected, like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. Captive breeding, like I told you, growing them in number in captivity in an artificial environment and releasing them back to the wild. Reintroduction programs and international cooperation. So if many countries contribute, all right, they give their expertise, they give their contribution, they partner with most countries to prevent these species from going extinct. So for Project Tiger, all right, there might be pollution coming from another country, there might be hunters coming from another country, and if the Indian government, it has a partnership with the other country, it can help reduce that number of hunters, reduce that climate change, or reduce those pollutants. How? Through international cooperation. We cooperate with that countries so as to reduce the harmful things that are making that species endangered. Alright. Now let me show you a few endangered species like pandas. Pandas are mainly found in China, right? Nowhere else. Okay, so if there was some pollution or hunters coming from India or any other country like Pakistan or any other country like from the north side, and they are hunting pandas, then the Chinese government or the other world governments will ask for international cooperation to help increase the number of pandas, to reduce that hunting, to reduce that pollution. These are a few more species that have become endangered. A polar bear. Polar ice caps are melting due to climate change. Okay, if those ice caps, it is found in the Arctic region, right? So if that is melting, then there is not much place left for the polar bear to live. All right, not much food, not much habitat. So a lot of countries are cooperating so as to reduce their climatic adverse effects, like a lot of carbon dioxide, a lot of pollution, to reduce the carbon footprint so that those polar ice caps are not melting and we can conserve the polar bear. Rhinos were hunted for these horns. All right, uh, rhinos are losing habitat. Gorillas, all right, parrots, eagles, some eagles. Okay, these are all losing their habitat and have become endangered. Endangered means they have come down to a very small number in population. Now I will tell you about the Red Data Book. The Red Data Book is a comprehensive record that assesses the conservation status of various species. So this is a book that tells us about how much work is being done on the conservation of a particular species. Alright, so about Project Tiger, about Project Rhino, it will all be in the Red Data Book. It keeps a record that assesses the conservation status of various species. Alright, then how much conservation practice is being done to protect this species, that would be in the Red Data Book. It lists the endangered, threatened and vulnerable species, providing valuable information about conservation planning. Now this book will tell me about all the species that are endangered, all the species that have a threat. Alright, it may be of any kind, it may be of climate change, it may be of hunting, maybe some species is getting threatened, maybe some parrots are getting threatened. Vulnerable species, it will give me valuable information about all of these. It will list me down all of these about all the explanation, so that the countries, the agencies can have a conservation planning, like which species should be conserved, how should we go about it, what is the problem. That is all in the Red Data Book. The Red Data Book helps prioritize conservation efforts and monitor the status of species over time. So it will prioritize the conservation efforts. Alright, if some species comes in the Red Data Book, okay, it is becoming endangered, so now countries will aim at conservation efforts to that species, and it will monitor the status of species over time. So it will keep monitoring that species in the Red Data Book. Migration. Now what is migration? Migration is the seasonal movement of animals from one region to another. Okay, so what happens is, let me give you an example of the Siberian cranes. So these are cranes that during our summer months, alright, in India, they are in Serbia, which is very cold, alright, and these cranes come to India in our winter months. Okay, so they come all the way from Serbia to New Delhi. Alright, now this is migration. They change their place, they migrate to another place in search of habitat. Alright, now this is not something man created, this has always been there due to the movement of the earth, due to the climatic conditions. So various species migrate, alright, in large numbers from one place to another in search of habitat. So there are monarch butterflies, alright, there are Siberian cranes. Explain these explain the reasons behind migration, okay, such as food availability. Now to get food, so if over here it is getting hot, those species will try to migrate if they can, okay, if it is in their evolution, they will migrate in search of food. To breed means to grow in number, and climatic conditions. Migration provides examples of like migratory birds, animals, and discuss the challenges they face during migration. So let me give you a few more examples. Okay, monarch butterflies, right? It might not be from one country to another country, but zebras zebras migrate as well when there is a lack of rainfall, when they do not have a lot of water present, okay, within Africa, right? So this happens as well. So that will be all for this lecture. Thank you.